If you're serious about your purpose, if you're serious about your business, if you're serious about chasing excellence, not women, you have to maintain that to a degree.
I'm not saying don't have kids. I'm not saying don't have a relationship with a woman.
Rich Cooper.
Mr. Richard Cooper.
Richard Cooper.
Rich Cooper.
Rich Cooper to the show. How you doing, man?
We don't normally go live on Thursdays, guys, but we got a special guest in the house, man. We got Rich Cooper.
His name is Richard Cooper.
Richard, it's great to see you. I really appreciate your coming on.
Rich Cooper, welcome to the show today.
Being more honest about it, and women at the same time sort of relaxing their standard.
Cash, but 5% of my wealth in crypto. 95% of that is...
I just want a girlfriend, or I just want one girl, I just want to be in a relationship.
And when you spend time playing Halo with little Timmy and zeroing the scope in on the BB gun.
Richard Cooper has generated over 1 billion views across all his content and has built an audience of more than 700,000 subscribers on YouTube. He's a 2-time best-selling author, the mind behind The Unplugged Alpha and The Top Shelf Man, with 5-star reviews and over 1 million copies sold.
It's showtime.
All right, guys, welcome to the show. Doing another episode of, I figure I want to kick off this one just talking about this fitness journey that I've been on for the last 6 months, because I mentioned it a few weeks ago. We completed this fitness challenge with my community, and a bunch of people submitted their, their starting photos and their after photos, and you can see that in the thumbnail. But the question of what do you do to get there is often sort of left unread. Nobody really talks about the details. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a little bit of a peek under the hood here, if I can put it that way, and give you some insight onto everything that you can do to reshape your body within 6 months. As you know, with everything that I say, it's not that hard when you know what you're doing and you're committed and you can execute and finish what you start. That's a big thing for me too. I talk about that a lot within my community. Finish what you start. If you start something and you plan on completing it, get her done. So, with that, I'm going to kind of dive you guys right down a rabbit hole. And I've got something like 45 hours worth of unlisted content in my school community, which includes all the details that you need to level up in every area of your life, whether it comes to money, divorce, entrepreneurship, the optics and the looks of self-care and all that sort of stuff. But we have it all broken down in the 7 spokes of the high value man, as I talk about in my second book. If you guys are newer to the channel and this content, it's all been built off sort of my original book, which I released in 2019. The Unplugged Alpha was the first one. This is a lot deeper down the rabbit hole. This is kind of like the basic version. This is the advanced stuff. You can find those both on Amazon. They're in print, Audible, and Kindle. Appreciate everybody that's checked it out and left amazing reviews for that. So let's get started. Let's begin with a Dexa scan, because I think that is the most accurate depiction or picture that you can get today of the body composition that we have as a guy. Let me just put this up here on the screen because I have mine from a few weeks ago. You should be able to see that. But off over here to your right, actually it was Brian Johnson that posted his. If you don't know who Brian Johnson is, he's that longevity expert that spends all this money on not dying. And he said his body composition resembles a 20-year-old, bone mineral density, body fat of 11.3%, lean mass 160.1 pounds. He says these markers are better than 90% of men in their 20s. Well, Brian, I'm several years older than you, and my numbers are actually better than yours. I have more lean mass, and my body fat's actually lower. So let me share those numbers with you over here. Let me just take this off the screen because it looks like it's covering up some of it over here. So to the left over here, let's do it this way. To the left over here, this is my original reading. To the right, that's the one that I did 2 weeks ago, roughly. This original reading was from 2003, if I'm not mistaken. It was, again, it was just after I'd finished boxing. So I did 2.5, 3 years of boxing, private one-on-one training twice a week, had a fight. And my trainer was like, do you want to keep doing fights? I'm like, nah, I'm too old for that shit. I'm going to end up with concussion. I don't need that kind of problem. So I proved my point. But at the end of my training, because you're going through so much cardiovascular stress and all that sort of stuff, I bought a package or a 2-pack of Dexa scans. So you pay for them both. They give you a discount. I think it's $299 or something like that. You get the one done. You can get the second one done, whatever. Anyway, I found the receipt for the scan, and I realized, well, I didn't get the second one, so I got it done. And here they are back up on the screen. So let's cover those right now. To the left, I was lean weight sitting at 79 kilograms. My lean weight today, 3 years later, even after I finished boxing, was 82 and change kilograms. So I gained 3 kilograms of muscle. For those of you in the world that want to deal with pounds, multiply it by 2.2. Straightforward stuff. Fat weight over here, you can see 3 years ago was 16 kilograms, and fat weight a couple of weeks ago was 9 kilograms. So pretty significant reduction. Total weight, I was 100 kilograms in 2003. Today, I'm 95 kilograms. And tissue fat was 16.9%. I was a bit of a pig. I'm not really sure why that number was so high, because I was like, the cardiovascular training that's involved with boxing is pretty intense. But I sat at just under 17% body fat. And as of 2 weeks ago, I was 10.2% body fat over here on the right. And again, you can see Brian Johnson's numbers over here, 11.3% body fat, 161 pounds of lean. I wonder how tall he is. Let me just quickly look it up, because that would be relevant. How tall is Brian Johnson? Oh, he's 6 foot tall. He's actually, I thought he was shorter. So he's 1.83. I'm 1.88 meters. So he's a little bit shorter than me, but he's 20 pounds lighter. So he's an extremely lean guy. Let's go and take this down off the screen so we can continue on here. Phil, I see you waiting there to ask a question. I'm going to deal with those in a bit, so just stand by, just chill out for a little bit. So we started this fitness competition back in December something. I can't remember what it was. Everybody submitted all of their photographs, and then they were to be finalized with the after photographs July the 12th. So very recently. Just to give you a visual, and I'm not doing this to get naked on you or anything like that, but your boy's got abs. Like, I'm fucking, like, I did the work. I committed to it. I got to exactly where I wanted to be. My goal for the rest of the year is to maintain the percentage of body fat, but to put on a little more muscle. I want to see if I can bulk up just a tiny bit more, and I'll make it happen. I always find a way to make stuff like this happen. All right, so I got a whole bunch of notes over here that I want to share with you guys. So let's start with food. This stuff is not like anything that you can't find yourself by doing a couple of searches. You can use Grok AI or any kind of AI that you prefer, that you subscribe to. There's loads and loads of YouTube videos out there on everything that you want to follow. I'm going to cover peptides as well, too. I forgot to put my notes in here for peptides, but I know which ones are the good ones and the bad ones. I'm going to cover peptides, food, training, blood labs, supplements, tracking. Those would all be all the main ones, right? So let's start with food. If you're fat, or if you're carrying more body weight than what you would like to carry, you clearly need to reduce your calories. It's just a matter of move more, eat better. And the move more part is, of course, move more intentionally in stuff that matters, like steps, of course, picking up heavy things, putting them down, training. And of course, with the calories that you're bringing in, the caloric intake, it's quality and it's a reduced caloric intake. Okay. So I reduce my calories by about 20% on a daily basis. And I pretty much maintained that. I didn't weigh any food. I didn't meal prep. I didn't measure macros. I didn't do any of the nerdy stuff that you see. Like, you'll go online, you'll see on social media, and somebody like, well, here's all my meal prep for the week, and here's my broccoli and my chicken and my rice. And I did none of that. Okay. I don't do that shit. That's a waste of my time. It's too geeky. It doesn't need to happen. And as I just showed you, you don't really need to do that. Some of you might need to do it if you need the extra discipline. I'm not that guy. I'm just sharing that with you. So I cut calories 20%. Now, that's pretty straightforward. You just eat a fifth less, right? I also modified what I was eating. So let's talk about carb timing. because carbs taste great. Bread, pastas, all the sorts of stuff that typically have carbs. Problem with carbs is they turn into sugar in your body. And the problem with that is it gets stored as fat. One of the key things that I wanted to target for myself, because I wasn't obese. Again, I was 222 pounds. I'm about 200 pounds today. But my midsection didn't fit. Like this shirt right now, you can see is a little bit loose in the midsection here. And this is the tightest tailored shirt that I've got. All of my shirts are all tailored. I use Maxwell's Clother. They do a pretty good job. This one's actually one of my smallest ones, and you can see it's still loose around the midsection. The problem was I wouldn't be able to wear, or I wouldn't have been able to have worn this shirt back in January. If I were to put this shirt on a show back in January, the buttons would be popping around here in the belly and shit, right? Like you'd see this, where you see like this kind of shit where a chick's got giant tits and her top's too tight and the buttons are all, and they're about to pop and shit. That's what would have been sitting around the midsection of this shirt. Not anymore. That's what I wanted to target. The aim for me was maintain muscle, don't lose it, because that's key when you're losing weight. I actually gain muscle, and I'll show you that in a second with the scale that I use. Maintain muscle, don't lose it. Gain muscle, which was good, but lose the fat targeting the midsection. You don't really target the midsection per se, because when fat comes off your body, it comes off where it's going to come off. But I'll explain how I targeted midsection fat, because what I had noticed was like pants didn't really fit me. Certain shirts I couldn't wear for shows because they were too tight. And that's where I wanted to get most of the weight off. So visceral fat, I knew for me was a problem. Visceral fat, if you don't know, is the fat that's around your organs, your kidneys, your liver, your stomach, your intestines, all that kind of stuff. That's visceral fat. It's not good for you. It's one of the problems with it is it really likes cortisol, and cortisol is one of those things that likes to keep you up at night. It's one of those things that wakes up people at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. They get a cortisol spike. It's not good. So you want to make sure that you manage cortisol. For me anyway, my target was to get the visceral fat down. I'll talk about how I did that in a second with some of the peptides. Anyway, carb timing. So I completely cut out carbs any time of the day. Breads, pasta. If I was going to have a burger, the burger was not on a bun. It was either a lettuce wrap, or I would just literally just put the patty on a plate and just eat the beef patty. And you don't want to get like the cheap ass beef patties. Costco has really, really good grass-fed beef patties. I think they're 27 grams of protein per patty. It's pretty low calorie. That's what I was using. I'll talk more about the food in a second. But carb timing eliminated carbs any other time of the day, with the exception of about an hour before the workout and after the workout. And the reason why I did that was because you need carbs for the energy. If you're going to go pick up heavy shit and put it down, you need energy, and carbs are a big part of that. So I would always make sure that I get carbs, before my workout. And I've worn one of those, what do you call those things? Constant glucose monitors. You see the people with them, on the back of their arms. I've worn those before, and I've tested what works and what doesn't work with those. So I've tested what actually gets a really good spike, but not a spike that's going to cause blood sugar problems. And for me, that was sweet potatoes. I don't know if that'll work for you. You can check it out for yourself. But my go-to was a snack that's a sweet potato stick that Costco also sold. And it was a good product. It was a one-ingredient product. It was just dried sweet potato sticks. So they were basically cooked sweet potato. They would cut them into sticks. They put them in a bag, and you could take them out. They don't sell them here anymore, and they stopped selling them back in January. So I went online to look for them, and I found, I guess somebody just bought them all up or something like that, but I found a guy that was selling them. Costco was selling them for like 13 bucks. This guy was selling them for 90 bucks on Amazon. I'm like, fuck that guy. So I went looking through Amazon for a replacement product, and you're going to laugh at this, but dog treats. This is what I was eating, dog treats. It's the exact same thing. It's one ingredient, just sweet potato. The only difference for the dog treats, and this was the problem with it, is that they're fucking rock hard. I don't know if you can see that, but they're rock hard. So they dry them out so dogs can, they chew on them. It's good for their teeth and gums, blah, blah, blah. You can try to chew on these. Trust me, ask me how I know. It doesn't really work. So what I would do is I'd is I take out about a handful of them, usually about 5, and I cut one of these into quarters. Cut it in half again. They're a lot thinner. They're more palatable. You can chew on them. It tastes exactly the same as the ones that I was getting from Costco, just a little bit drier. And I would eat those before the workout. After the workout, I'd usually have something like pasta or something along those lines. You can find these on Amazon. They're really cheap. I think they're like $20. They're what are they called? Pawan. Anyway, they're called sweet potato training sticks. It's a dog treat. You can eat it as well. It's one ingredient. You can check it on the back. It's just sweet potatoes. That's it. So that's how I timed carbs of my workout. Any other time of the day, dinner, breakfast, nothing. I wouldn't touch any carbs whatsoever. Now let's talk about the protein part, because this is really important. You need to get a gram of protein. Some people will tell you per pound of lean body weight. So for me, that was 180 pounds, which means 180 grams. Others say a gram of protein per pound of body weight. You do what you want. I did a gram of protein per pound of body weight. So I was 222 pounds. I always aim to get over 200 grams of protein every day. How do you do that? Morning, as soon as I would get up in the morning, I'd make a protein pudding. And what I would do is I'll talk about the protein pudding in a second, because that was a snack. I did a protein sort of like blend with a Greek yogurt. So just plain Greek yogurt, no sugar, no flavor, no additives. And what I would do is I would put my paleo protein product, which you can find in my store, this. I take a scoop of it, put it in with the Greek yogurt, and you get about 35 grams of protein in your first meal upon waking. Don't do any fasting. Okay. A lot of people, okay, maybe if you're 400 pounds, you can fast. But for guys that just need to lose like 20 pounds of fat or something like that, where I was at, I don't do fasting. What I do is I do grazing. And grazing is just eating throughout the day. This is what bodybuilders do, right? Like when they want to maintain muscle, especially when they're in the cutting phase and stuff like that, they're constantly feeding their body. They're always eating. They're always eating. So upon waking, that was my breakfast every morning. It's straightforward. You don't need to think about it. You go to the fridge, you take a couple of spoonfuls of Greek yogurt, you take a scoop of my beef protein powder, you put it in, and I'd put in some frozen blueberries. Mix it up, let it sit there. The frozen blueberries would thaw while I was drinking my coffee. In the pudding, I'd eat it about 10 minutes after I would sit down. And that was my first meal. Next, I would go for sardines. This is the one that I would get. It's there you go, sardines Rain Coast. These are 18 grams of protein. It says 80, what is this? 80 calories per 1/3 of a cup, 55 grams, 120. Okay, so it's 160 calories per tin. And it's 18 grams for the whole, let me just check here. Yeah, it's 18 grams for the whole tin. Really low in calories, really high in protein, high in the fatty oils that your body needs. I use this product because I don't want anything with sunflower oil or olive oil or anything like this. This is one that's packed in water. That's just my preference. And they have flavors. This one's in tomato sauce. But I literally, like in my kitchen, I have a stack of these. Like I'll go to the Healthy Planets or the Nature's Emporiums of the world or whatever it happens to be. I'll just clean the fucking shelf out, put it in my basket. I'll grab 30 or 40 of these at a time. They do them in dill. They do them in tomato paste. Again, you want to make this as simple as possible. You don't want to have to think about stuff. If you want this to stick, if you want it to work, you have to systemize everything so that it's not even anything that you think about. It's like breakfast done. You know, you have your Greek yogurt, your protein scoop. All right, a few hours later, I'm going to have this. Right before I go to the gym, I have my carbs, right? So, you know, this is the second one. After the workout at the gym, my gym has like a smoothie shack, protein shake shack sort of thing. For about $7, I could buy a shake, and it was 60 grams of protein. So they would put in 2 scoops of their protein powder. Each scoop was 30 grams, so 60 grams. I would then consume 60 grams of protein right after the workout. Very pleasant thing. It's in a nice shake bottle. I'd finish my workout, go get my shake, sit in the sauna. I would sip on it in the sauna and finish up what I was doing over there. By about noon every day, I had probably consumed at least 120, 130 grams of protein. And that was the big part, for me, was like the starting part. The amount of calories that I was consuming by noon were probably under 400 or 500. I would say under 450. So pretty low in the calorie count as well. Other sources of protein: steak. Again, I'm a Costco member, and I would go and get the big long tenderloins, right? I don't know what they cost, but they're done by weight. Depending on the size and the weight, you might spend $180, $200 for like a nice tenderloin. You bring it home, you cut it up in pucks. I would usually end up with about 18 to 20 steaks out of $180 purchase. So about $10 a steak, which is pretty good for tenderloin. I just happen to like tenderloin. It's my favorite cut of beef. I know how to cook it right. It's just my thing. Okay. So that was a big source of protein for me as well, was sardines, steak. I would have eggs as well, from time to time. I get about 3 or 4 eggs, scramble them up, throw a little feta cheese on. That was it. That was, like another protein meal. You're getting about 20, 25 grams there. Burger patties. I mentioned that earlier. Again, another Costco product. Get the grass-fed burger patties. Yay big. I mean, most people put them in a bun and they'll smash them down. You're eliminating carbs. Each patty is about 27 grams. So you can either put it in a lettuce wrap and make it like a lettuce wrap burger. For me, a lot of the times I would just cook it up on a barbecue, throw it on a plate, put a little bit of barbecue sauce on it. Maybe that's an extra 18, 20 calories or something like that, very low, just to put some flavor into it. And that would be another meal as well. I don't really like chicken that much. It's not really my thing, but I would eat chicken from time to time as well too. But easily getting 200 grams of protein per day for the duration of the entire project was my thing. Okay. Again, guys, if you want to get results out of life, you got to commit to doing the work and sticking to a plan. This is just how I did it. I'd recommend, doing something that that you can stick to, but this is what I knew that I could stick to. Let me keep going. Another product called Yarba Mate. I learned about this from Andrew Huberman. There's been some studies done on it. It's okay at metabolizing visceral fat. They've proven that it helps to metabolize it. You got to time it right. I would drink a Yarba Mate tea about an hour before my workout as well. And that's the correct timing for it, according to his studies and his research. Is it going to move the bar a tremendous amount? Not really, but I just incorporated it because I heard that it works. And again, my main target was visceral fat. So how effective was it? I don't know, but according to his data, it works marginally. They also do like Yarba Mate tins as well. I bought a few from the grocery store. They're about $3.50, $4 per tin. And they taste pretty good. It's like a sparkling water beverage. It's got some caffeine, a few other things, but it's got the Yarba Mate in it as well. Again, it's YERBEMATE. You can buy the loose leaf tea on Amazon. You can buy the tins, the energy drinks. They have about 20, 25 calories in them. That's another way that you can get the Yarba Mate in as well. Sauerkraut. Okay. So you want your gut biome working. If you're not, look, if this shit's not happy, you're not going to absorb your caloric intake, and your gut biome is going to be messed up just by shoving protein in it all the time. So with every protein meal, I would get again, you can buy these at Costco as well. It's just a big container of sauerkraut. There's not a lot of calories in it. It's a cabbage. It's like a fermented cabbage product. It doesn't taste so great. Most of this shit doesn't taste great, by the way, guys. Sardines out of the tin, I could do without them. There's way better tasting foods. But again, if I'm going to finish what I'm starting, I don't fucking care what it tastes like. I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to do the work. A lot of the things that you're looking for, guys, the money that you want to make, the weight that you want to lose, the muscle that you might want to gain, are all on the other side of something dressed in overalls that looks like work. You can't get mad or pissed off at people that are telling you things like eat shit like this and eat dog food and cut it up into quarters and time your meals. Don't get mad at me, right? Like I'm just telling you what works for me and what I know works. Sauerkraut was an integral part of it. with every protein meal, like if I was having my sardines, I'd grab my thing of sauerkraut, a couple of forkfuls of sauerkraut with that, a couple of forkfuls of sauerkraut with my burger patty. Same thing with the steak. That was it. That's all that I would eat. Very straightforward stuff. It's not complex. You're cutting out sugar. You're cutting out processed foods. If it has a package with ingredients on it that you can't pronounce, you don't fucking buy it. You don't eat it. It's very simple. I know that it tastes good. That's how they get you. They want you to eat this horse shit, and that's how you get fat, right? So that's it. Very straightforward when it comes to the food part. You understand? Let's talk about peptides now, because I did integrate peptides. I integrated TRT. I integrated a lot of other things. I'm going to get through all of them. I'm going to get to the supplements. I'm sipping on some of my supplements right now, these aminos. I'll get to that in a bit. Peptides. I did use retatrutide. I don't really like retatrutide, though, and I'll explain why. There's two downsides to it. One, it got me constipated. Not going to lie. I had to get some Metamucil going on, right? You can offset the constipation with a Senna tea. You can offset it with like a Senna tablet. Metamucil works as well. It's also really low calorie. Those are some ways to keep yourself regular. But if you're not shitting, you're going to have a problem, right? So that was one of the other problems with retatrutide. It's a GLP-3 agonist. You can go do your research on it. It's a peptide. It works. In the description of this video, I will link my peptide source. All of this, by the way, guys, is in my school community for everybody. But after the show's done, I'm going to link my peptide source in both Canada and the United States. It's the same company under different brand names. But that's the stuff that I use. I know the guy that runs the company. They test the products. It's a good product. I like it. I had good success with it. If you don't like Reta, which I wouldn't recommend, because the second thing that I didn't like about it was it increases your heart rate. So the glucagon part of retatrutide, the third part of it, it increases your burn rate of calories. And to do that, your heart rate generally increases as well too. So I found that my resting heart rate is usually around high 50s, 58, 59. With Reta, it was sitting around 70, 75. Like, you just be sitting there chilling, watching TV, going through a series sort of thing, and your heart's like, and you're like you can feel it. Also, it's not great when you're trying to sleep. You want your resting heart rate as low as you can get it, obviously without dying. I know people out there that have very low resting heart rates in the 40s as well too. So that's good for longevity. So Reta isn't good long-term. My take on it is, use it if you want. I would say tirzepatide's better. I use that more towards the end. I haven't been using them, by the way, for a little while, and I've maintained my weight just by continuing with my food strategy. But the thing that I like most about that peptide with the GLP agonist angle is that it makes reducing your calories easy. I didn't get hungry. I didn't want to get up and snack like I normally did. I didn't want to get a bag of whatever from the pantry at night when I'm watching the show. I just didn't. So that was a nice thing that I liked about the peptide Reta. I'm not going to break down in extreme detail how it works, but what you can do is you can basically order your peptide. And in my community, if you're a member, I explain how to reconstitute, how to use the needles, how to inject, where to inject, all of that stuff. I break it all down. It's a 45-minute video in my community. I don't know why you're not a member of my community yet. The value in there is astronomical. You should get in, but you can also find a lot of this stuff just by going to Grok AI. So what I would do is I get my peptide. I'd be like, I have a 20 milligram vial of retatrutide. This is my age. This is my weight. This is my health stat. What should I dose this? How frequent should the injections be? When should the injections be? And it'll spit out a protocol. And it works very well. So Reta was one of them that I integrated. Another one, which I think is even better than Reta, that doesn't get a lot of airtime, is tesamorelin. And tesamorelin is a GH peptide. But more specifically, it it laser targets visceral fat around your organs, which is, again, like I said earlier, that was my main component. Like that's what I wanted to get rid of, was the bloat, the distended in my abdomen, that area, so that my midsection would sit tighter. Tesamorlin's amazing for that. It works really, really well. I would take it at night. You get a better sleep. You get your GH bump. Your visceral fat would slowly come off as the week sort of went on. It's not magic. It doesn't happen in a week or two, but like I said, this is about a 6-month process for me. And I didn't use Tesamorlin for the entire 6 months. I used Retta, but I used Tessa probably about 2 or 3 cycles, I think is what I did. I probably did about 3 vials is what I would say that I went through. They're, I don't know, $150 a vial, something like that. They work. Really, really good product. Can't recommend it highly enough. Tessa, like if you had to pick between Retta and Tessa, I would say Tesamorlin all day long. I like that a lot better. That's it. That's all I use for peptides. That's all that I really needed. I've used peptides for 10 years, mostly BPC-157 and TB-500 for like injuries, knee joint injuries, back injuries, things like that. So I've been around peptides for at least a decade. They work. They're phenomenal products. I recommend them. So you can do what you want with those. Touch them, don't touch them. I don't give a fuck at the end of the day. Labs. Let's talk about blood labs. So blood labs are really important. Most people overlook these. I don't know. It's inconvenient for them. They don't want to go to a lab where they draw blood from you. They don't like needles, whatever your problem is. Grow the fuck up. Okay. I get my labs checked every 3 months. I obviously have a hormone clinic that manages my hormones, prescribes me what I need, and checks my blood labs. I work one-on-one with a specialist who's amazing. And every, again, three months or so, I go and get my labs done. There's about 60 markers that I check. I do a full panel. I'm not going to break down a lab panel for you. If you're in my community and you're in the school program, again, that's in the description below in the ticker. You know, you can find your way to it. We have a guy in my community that monthly does blood lab calls, who's an expert in the area. He also offers coaching to people that want to improve their health. I didn't use them. I've seen other people use them that have gotten really good results. But every month he's doing a call for about an hour and he's reviewing blood labs. So there are benefits beyond just, you know, how do I get the girl stuff, you know, for my community? You can check that out. But labs, really important. Now, one of the things I noticed, because I did 2 sets of labs, like I said, I do them every 3 months. So I saw 2 sets of labs run during this fat loss process. When you get rid of the visceral fat in your midsection, your entire lab profile improves dramatically, every part of it. So not only will you look better, but your body will operate optimally as well. Get your blood labs checked. If you want help with that, get in the community. There's a call monthly. I get involved with it. You make a post on stuff like that. I can help you out. I'm not going to get into the weeds on blood labs, but get them done. Get a full panel done. Don't dick around. Don't be cheap. Oh, it's going to cost this amount of money or whatever it happens to be. You need to know if you have any nutrient deficiencies. You need to know what areas aren't working for you. As an example, and this won't be true for everybody out there, I'm deficient in certain nutrients. Copper is one of the big ones. So I have to supplement heavily with copper throughout the day, because if I don't, my copper levels are well below the bottom line. That's just how my body metabolizes and absorbs things. So I need to supplement with certain things, and copper was one of the ones that came up on my blood labs. It'll probably be different for you. Okay, you check things like zinc, magnesium, potassium. You check your organ health, your kidneys, your liver, your cardiovascular health, your inflammatory markers. Oh, by the way, that was another thing that improved dramatically. Normally, for years, I've had very high ApoB. Okay, ApoB is a cardiovascular health marker, which determines the health of your cardiovascular system and the probability of you having a cardiovascular event. Okay, I don't know, clogged arteries, heart attack, stroke, that kind of thing. With all the changes that I applied to my body, my ApoB came right down. ApoB was at the roof, came right down to a very manageable number. So again, optimizing and fixing your health and your body weight to get it to where it should be pays massive dividends in all areas of your life. Labs, got it? Good. Let's keep going. Let's talk about training now. Training. So steps were really, really important, especially early on for me. So I knew that I had to get about 45 minutes of uphill walking because I wanted to maintain a BPM, so beats per minute of heart, around 110 to 115, 120 beats per minute. And that was pretty easy to do. You'd get on the treadmill, you'd set it up to the incline, I'd set the speed, and I would kind of fart around with the speed and the incline until I could get my heart rate constantly at about 115 to 120 beats per minute. Then I would walk at that pace for 40, 45 minutes. Boring as shit, I know. It sucks, but again, you want to get results, you're going to have to fucking do the work. So I'm walking on the treadmill for 40, 45 minutes, listening to a podcast, watching a YouTube video, something like that, an audio book. There's a whole bunch of things that you can do while you're walking. You figure out what works for you. But early on, especially early on, I didn't do this as much, towards the end, but especially early on, I knew that I had to get this engine working to burn fat. And that was the zone. You can go look it up on YouTube. You can do some search with AI, but that's what it was for me. 115, 120 beats per minute, uphill walking, consistent. Not, you're out of breath or running or anything like that. Just walking. Very simple. The other thing I would do, let me get it, was weighted vest work. So these are the plates that go inside. This is one of the lighter ones, so I upgraded it. This one's 3.5 pounds. I've got, I think, 6 pound plates front and back in there right now. I can also put the 6 pound in and the 3.5 pound if I want. And they have heavier plates as well. By the way, it says over here, warning, not for use as body armor, which is fucking hilarious because some lawyer got involved with this. I actually looked it up. These are actually bulletproof, believe it or not. Not the 3.5 pound ones, but the other ones. They'll stop a 223 easily. So if the shit hits the fan, you got body armor too. So that's kind of cool. But this is what it looks like. It's just, weighted vest, kind of looks like military shit, right? And I would do a lot of street walking as well early on too. I would usually get about 12 to 15,000 steps a day. Minimum should be 10,000, minimum. You put on the weighted vest, your body's burning more calories. So it's like, you want to encourage your body to burn calories. You want it to burn fat. You want it to use your fat reserves so that you can shed the weight. Walking is one of the things that I did a lot of. Okay. So let's say 12,000 steps a day. Weighted vest, super helpful. You can get that off Amazon. To get specific with the product, Amstaff is the one that I got. I like it. It's comfortable. And, like I said, if the shit hits the fan, I got body armor now too. Weighted vest, uphill walking, steps. I was training 4 times a week, about an hour and 15 minutes. I also did a lot of bike rides. By the time the snow melted here in the greater Toronto area, I like getting on the trails and riding my bicycle. It's just a trail bike. And I would often just throw my backpack on, go to the gym with the bike, ride it home. Sometimes if I had to get something small, again, I got the backpack, I throw some groceries in or something light instead of driving the car. That's just, one of the ways to get the caloric burn going, if you know what I'm saying. So that was the movement part, right? Steps, weighted vest, 4 times a week training, pick up heavy shit, put it down, you know what to do, and bike rides. Let's talk supplements. All right. I am sipping on one of my supplements. These are the ones that I used. Let me pull up here. So I'm obviously going to shamelessly plug my own supplements because this is what I used. Share screen. There we go. Shop. I use my creatine product, 10 grams of creatine per day. Again, I would just mix it in with my workout drinks. So on the top, so I'm going to tell you exactly what I used here. I use my testosterone support product, Alpha T. I obviously use a vitamin DK product so that I'm optimizing my vitamin D levels. Those will show up in your blood labs. I use a creatine product, 10 grams a day. I also use zinc because you need zinc to produce testosterone, maintain immune function, all that stuff. That's really important. You can also get this testosterone bundle, by the way, which is a really good value, which has a whole bunch of products. I didn't use DIM. I didn't use the fat burner. I didn't use oil because I was getting all my oils from my fish, from my sardines. I use a magnesium product, obviously. That's like, foundational. The pump product is a nitric oxide booster. I've always used it anyway. I use it at the gym as a pre-workout. So Alpha Pump is a really good nitric oxide booster. It's got arginine, carnitine, and a few other ancillaries, which make sure that your cardiovascular system is getting exactly what it needs for nitric oxide production. I'd also try to integrate beetroot powder. So you can buy dried beetroot powder. You can get beetroot juice. That's really good for nitric oxide production. And by the way, nitric oxide production is kind of the same sort of stuff that the little blue pill and the little yellow pill, do for the D. You want to have good like pumps at the gym and also bedroom pumps. Trust me, take this product, before your gal comes over. The paleo protein is the one that I use. I don't like the whey protein just because I don't really want dairy products. So I use the beef protein product. So I use my alpha paleo protein. Now, let me explain how I would make the protein pudding, because that was the other thing, sorry, that I missed in my food stack. So I have a video in my community that explains how to make this protein pudding. So I'll just briefly explain it. It's just two products. Sorry, let me throw it back up on the stage here. It's just two products. It's the paleo protein and it's a collagen product. Collagen, you need to like gelatinize the pudding. And the collagen, by the way, is good for your skin, hair, and nails and your joints. And the protein is what you need, of course, to get your protein intake. Protein pudding is amazing. It is like, I don't know if you guys are anywhere near my age, but there was like the Bill Cosby Jell-O pudding commercials when I was a kid. And Jell-O pudding is tasty as shit. I figured out how to make my own Jell-O pudding with my beef protein product and the collagen product. I don't know if this will work with whey protein. I don't use whey protein, so I can't say if it will or not. Again, I don't like the milk source proteins. My preference is beef, animal source protein. So let me put it that way. Very, very simple to use. You take a cup of water and you put it in a mixing bowl. You measure 1 cup of water. For every 1 cup of water that you put in a mixing bowl, you put 2 scoops of the beef protein and 2 scoops of the collagen product that I just mentioned from my website as well. So you put in 5 cups of water, do the math, 10 scoops of beef protein, 10 scoops of collagen. You blend it up. It's in a big bowl. I would put it in individual containers and put it in the fridge and refrigerate it. About 3 to 4 hours later, it would turn into a gelatinous pudding that's absolutely fucking delicious. That was also the mainstay of a lot of my protein sources as well, too. So if you want something that doesn't get boring, that's easy to make, I would just make like once a week in the kitchen, I'd make a big bowl of protein pudding slop, basically. And it's like I said, it's 3 ingredients: water, beef protein, and collagen in that ratio. 1 cup of water, 2 scoops of the beef, 2 scoops of the collagen product for every cup of water. Blend it up, put it in the fridge, boom. You got a big ass weekly serving of your protein needs in a tasty product that's easy to consume and easy to digest. Really, really good stuff. Going back to the list over here. So again, it's the paleo protein over here and the collagen protein. You can find those off my website. They're easy to order. The other thing that I was consuming a lot of was my amino acid products. Your muscles need a lot of leucine. Sorry. Remove this. There we go. Your muscles need a lot of leucine to grow. My amino acid product has a ton of leucine in it. This is what it looks like over here. Okay. What is it? 2.5 grams per scoop. So I usually make about 2 or 3 drinks a day of the amino acids. I put it in here. I mix in other shit like my vitamin C powder, amino acids, my nitric oxide. You can put in glycine as well, which helps you sleep better at night. My creatine would also go in here as well. Sometimes I would put in beetroot powder, like dried beetroot powder as well, because that's good for nitric oxide. And you just shake it up, put a little ice in it, boom, 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 and you're sipping on this all day long, right? Because you obviously have to get your water content in. You need several liters of water per day. Incredibly important for your kidney health and to make sure that you're, getting all your fluids in, sort of thing. And that's really it. I mean, the only other one that I didn't mention, by the way, is the sleep product, my Alpha Z product over here. I take that at night. Okay, so that's everything that I would use. I've also got a whey product if you like milk-based products and stuff like that. But I use a lot of stuff on my site. You get the idea. Those are the supplements. Boom. Of course, anything that my blood labs revealed that I needed more of or I needed to make adjustments to. Vitamin D was too low. Okay, instead of taking 3 capsules, I take 4 capsules. Next round, okay, vitamin D numbers where I want them to be. Copper levels, again, like I said, my body doesn't absorb copper very well, so I have to take a copper supplement as well too. Let's talk tracking now, because you cannot manage what you don't measure. I've said this many times. I'll say it again. So the tracking that I would use was my Oura ring and a Renpho scale. Some people have asked me, because I've shared some screenshots on social media. But how do you spell Renpho? Let me just see here. Renpho is what it's called. And you can see as I've weighed myself this morning, I'm 201 pounds on my scale. I literally stand on this thing every fucking morning. Get up, take a piss, naked, stand on the scale. Exact same time, every single day. I did it every day for 6 months straight. The scale, by the way, it's like $35 on Amazon. It measures your weight accurately. It also measures your body fat percentage, your bone density, all kinds of other metrics. It's not very accurate. The Dexa Scan's way more accurate. Like this here puts me at 15% body fat. The Dexa Scan put me at 10.2. You can see the difference. Here's the good news though. Even if you don't want to spend $300 on 2 Dexa Scans, you can spend $35 on a Renpho scale, stand on it every day, and you'll see the trend. Are you getting fatter? Are you getting leaner, right? You should be losing the weight, but maintaining the muscle mass. And that's what I did. There's a trend tab here. And let's see here. So if I go to body fat, it probably won't focus because it's a screen. There you go. I got a screen protector on her, but you can see the body fat's coming down. That's 3 months worth of data over there. If I go to skeletal muscle, you can see skeletal muscle went up. Okay. Body fat goes down, muscle mass goes up. Fucking amazing. That's exactly what I wanted. It's very, very hard to lose fat and gain muscle mass. But again, I'm doing a lot of things here. I'm fastidious when it comes to shit. If I'm going to start something, I'm going to finish it, and I'm going to fucking get to exactly where I want to be. I don't fuck around. That's how I roll. That's why I make money. That's why I'm successful in everything that I do with my endeavors. And if I'm going to lose fat, I'm going to fucking lose fat. I don't fuck around. Okay. So track. You can't manage what you do not measure. At the very least, get a scale. $35 on Amazon, Renpho. They also have the ones with the handlebars now that you bend over and you pick up and it's got the handlebars and it runs a shock through your hands and your feet. I didn't have that one. I just had the one that you stood on. I think the handlebar one is $100 more or something like that. It's more accurate. Doesn't matter. You want to spend the extra money for the handlebar job? Get it. I don't fucking care. But at least get a scale if you want to lose weight and you want to track your body fat and your muscle mass and all that sort of shit. And it's very simple. You get on the scale, you take your measurement. You do it again tomorrow, you do it again the day after that. Do it for a week. If you notice a week goes by and nothing changes, it's because you suck and you're doing something wrong. You're eating the wrong food, you're not training correctly, you're still taking in too many calories. You get the idea. I've covered some of the areas that really, really matter, right? So measure yourself. The Oura Ring is good. The problem with it is this one's fucking loose now because I lost so much weight. Like, look at this shit. It barely touches the skin. I'd recommend, if you want a health tracker, get one of those bands that you can put on your wrist, because if you lose weight, you can at least tighten it. These rings you can't tighten. So I got this ring size when I was 222 pounds. I'm 201 right now. It's kind of loose. It doesn't really make contact. It's not always tracking my sleep data. And unfortunately, it doesn't fit on any other fucking fingers. So unless I want to wear it on my ring finger, which is a no-no, because then I'd look like I'm married, which I'm not. That's where it sits and that's where it lives right now. But get health trackers. Again, you can't manage what you don't measure. If you don't want to spend $300 for an Oura Ring or a Whoop band or something like that, spend $35 on a scale. Get on it every day. If you don't like the number, look in the mirror and call yourself a fat fuck and hold yourself accountable and lower your caloric intake. Move more, get more steps. Make sure you're getting your amino acids in. Make sure you're getting the right calories in. Make sure you're timing your carbs right, like I talked about. You get the idea. Okay. TRT, really nothing to say there. I got to, you'll get accused when you get extraordinary results from people. Oh, you're taking Trenbolone and all this in and blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, I have a hormone clinic that prescribes what I need. I take testosterone. I've been very open about being on TRT. I've been doing it for well over 10 years now. It works. I didn't go through the roof or anything like that. I just keep my testosterone at the top end of the range. And that's where it needs to be if I want to maintain and grow muscle, especially when you're in a caloric deficit. So if you're an older guy that's on TRT, good for you. As long as you maintain your testosterone levels and you're doing all the other things. Okay. I know lots of guys that are on TRT that are fat fucks. I see them all the time, everywhere, and they're just out of shape. And you can be on testosterone, you can be on TRT from a hormone clinic and eat like shit and not train, and you're going to look like a pig. Simple as that. So don't think like, oh, Rich cheated. He took a shortcut. That's like one of many things that I've talked about that are helpful, but maintaining healthy testosterone levels is incredibly important. If you're a younger guy, I talk about it in the Unplugged Alpha. There's an entire chapter in this book about managing your testosterone. You do not need TRT if you're a younger guy. Don't be fucking lazy. One of the things that pisses me off is when I see like 27-year-old guys and are like, I got to get some testosterone from a clinic because I heard this older guy say that he has to do it. When you get older, you're probably going to have to go to a hormone clinic and get prescribed if you want to maintain your testosterone levels. If you're a younger guy and you're managing your health and you're eating well and you're moving and you're sleeping and you're giving yourself zinc and boron and all this stuff that supports testosterone production, you really probably don't need it. Okay. That's it. That's my hour-long rant. What are the benefits of all of this, you may ask? Clothes fit better. You feel better. Your health is better. People are constantly asking me, how old I am, how I got in good shape when I'm sitting in the sauna at the gym. Women look at you a lot more, dude. Like, women will look at you a lot more when you're fit, when clothes fit you better and you're in far better shape. And, like, I notice when I put on like a t-shirt now, and I have like one t-shirt that I like to wear. I've got like 30 of them or something like that. Like, when I find something that fits me good and looks good, I put this t-shirt on now, and it's like, it's snug around my shoulders, it's snug around my chest, and now it hangs loosely over my stomach. Whereas before, 6 months ago, you could see your stomach pushing into the t-shirt. So you look better in everything that you wear. Those are really the biggest benefits. Your health markers improve, your blood labs improve, you sleep better at night. I've heard stories of guys that have sleep apnea that were snoring and weren't able to get restful sleep, modify that and get better sleep because they lose some of the fat, shit around your neck and stuff like that, and your throat. You burn fat everywhere. Like, one of the things that somebody said to me that I hadn't seen in a while is like, my face looks leaner, right? And it's like, if I see you every week, if you tune in my show every week, you probably haven't noticed the difference. But I bet if you go back 6 months to one of my podcasts and you compare my face today versus then, you'll probably notice it a little bit leaner. You get a little more of a jawline, a little bit more of a cut. Getting leaner will make you more attractive. Simple as that. Make sense? Good. All right, let's grab Phil over here because he's been waiting for an hour, man. I feel bad for this dude. I think he has a question about this topic specifically, but here we go. Phil, what's up, man?
Oh, hey, Rich. Thanks for taking the call. I have thank you for taking the call. Respectfully, with all due respect, I'd like to make an argument that there's a gap of position in the alpha male literature, and then have you please make a retort.
Sure, go ahead.
So I read all the alpha male books. They're all great. I read your book. Fantastic. As you know, all the books speak to women dating hypergamously, across and up. So by definition, if women date across and up hypergamously, men date across and down hypogamously, yet nowhere in the literature is that said. Now, I can understand an argument coming back my way of why you shouldn't discuss men dating hypogamously, is that they'll get lazy and unmotivated.
What does that mean, hypogamously?
Oh, hypogamous.
Define that word. Define it.
So hypergamy up, hypogamy down.
Never heard of hypogamy. What do you mean by down, though? What do you mean by down? What does that mean?
Well, hyper is increase.
Got it. But what do you mean by down? Like, define what down would be for guys.
Yep. Okay. So women, as you know, date hypergamously across and up.
What does hypergamy mean?
That women date across and up the socioeconomic level.
Okay, good. All right. So we understand that together. So what do you mean by dating down, though? What do you mean?
So if women are dating across and up, men are dating across and down.
On what level? On the socioeconomic level? On what level?
They're not looking for a woman that's insanely wealthier than they are.
Got it. Okay. So we're in agreement. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Again, an argument that could come back my way of why men dating hypogamously shouldn't be discussed again is that they would get lazy, unmotivated, stop upgrading themselves. And I agree, that is a concern, no question. However, I argue that it takes time to go from a net worth of 1 million to 5 million to 10 million, etc.
Sure.
And in the interim, if he's dating, I argue he's dating hypogamously.
Okay.
So that's my argument.
I'm not disagreeing with you. That's what men do. You know, we date women that are under us. Because if women are gonna date up, then that means that we're gonna have to date down. We're gonna have to date a chick that's poorer than us. And that's just how things go.
I agree.
But I mean, like, women don't share their pot of gold with men. I've said that many times. It's not like, you know, if you find a successful woman that she's going to improve, like, a rich man will change a broke woman's life, but a rich woman won't look a broke man's way unless he's really hot and it's just for sex.
I agree. And again, all the arguments are out there. Like you've made a great argument. Dr. Taraban has made a great argument about Berfault's law, where a woman will only stay with a man by the way of what she can
gain from the relationship. She leaves when there's nothing to gain. Yeah.
And she'll leave him if there's no benefit. So two things come from that. Well, basically, you never give her upfront everything for two reasons. One, it's the wrong frame. But then B, if you give her everything up front, there's no reason for her to stay with you in the future and stay. I argue that's a great argument of strategy of hypogamy. I just found it interesting that actual word is not in any of the literature, while women dating hypergamously, which they do, is. So
I mean, it's a given. You know, it's a given.
It is. Okay, there we go. Well, I thank you very much for your time, Rich.
Okay, man. Thanks. Cheers. Bye. Not really a disagreement, but somebody put a question here. Sorry, man. I'm trying to, guys, if you want to get my attention in the chat, just throw a super chat. It makes it easy for me to find it. Here it is. Somebody's asking about blood getting thicker. Does it harm cardiovascular system? With what exactly? Why would your blood get thicker or harm your cardiovascular system? With what exactly? Is there another question here? With boxing skills? I don't see another question. So when you take testosterone, for some guys, if they don't consume enough fluids and they don't manage their blood labs or do a bloodlet if it's needed, your blood will get thicker. Okay. That's one of the byproducts of a high testosterone level. Your red blood cell your red blood cell count goes up. It's very easy to manage. If you're one of the people that has thicker blood as a result of higher testosterone, you can either increase your fluid intake, which is probably the easiest way to manage your hemoglobin and your hematocrit. I keep an eye on that every time I do my blood labs. It's very easy to manage. If it's higher than where it needs to be in the range, you donate some blood. Very simple. I personally don't like to donate blood. What I do is I have an IV clinic, and I buy a package. I'll buy like 5 IV bags. And if I notice that my blood's getting too thick, I get an IV bag. It's got vitamins in it and all this kind of shit. So you get your vitamins in the bag, and then you drop the bag on the floor and you gravity feed a little bit of blood out after you've taken all the vitamins in from the bag. When you do a blood donation, they take out, I think it's 580 milliliters, which is pretty significant. I mean, it's more than 2 cups of blood, which is, I mean, the problem with that is you're taking out a fuck ton of blood. And 2, if you take out that much blood, you're going to lower your iron, and you don't want your iron in the basement. So my preference is I pay to do an IV bag. If I ever find my blood gets too thick, I drain a little bit out, maybe about 180, 160 milliliters. Nowhere near as much as they take out with a donation. Donation's free, by the way. But I'm fastidious about shit, right? Like I manage everything to a fucking T. I want chef's kiss numbers on everything, right? So, to answer your question, man, yeah. But a lot of people, they don't have any issues with it. But again, it's not impossible to manage. I will say this. There's some really fucking dumb people out there when it comes to peptides and hormones and testosterone and shit like that. As an example, I was sitting in the sauna. Dude comes in. Hey, how you doing? I'm like, fuck, now I got to talk to this guy. Anyway, how old are you, man? You look really good. All right. So now he's asking me questions like, well, what do you use? What do you take to look so good for your age and stuff like that? I'm like, dude, I do everything, man. I'm like on this shit like a fat kid on cake. What do you want to talk about? Peptides, hormones, right? Blood labs, like, what do you want to talk about? Supplements, all that sort of stuff. Oh, do you peptides? I've heard about this BPC 157. He goes, does that make your dick small? Is that like steroids where it makes your dick small? It's like, fuck, one of these retards. I'm not going to spend my time educating you, bro. Right? It's going to take me 3 hours how to untrain your dumbass mind because you're so stupid. People are unbelievably naive and thick when it comes to the notion of managing your health. I am not a YouTube content creator that talks about health, longevity, not dying, all that kind of shit. It's just what I do on the side. It's just who I am. Like I said at the beginning of the show, it was important to me. I did it myself. I didn't hire anybody. I literally did all of this myself. Okay. I've been doing this my entire fucking life. I know what to do. I know what works, what doesn't work. If I have a question about something, I go and search it up. I'll research it. I'll spend hours on YouTube. I'll do queries with AI. I'll get to the answer that I need to, right? Like, for example, when I noticed my ApoB was high, it was like, okay, now all of a sudden, my new project, because my blood lab said my ApoB was high, I'm watching videos with interviews with Peter Attia, Andrew Huberman, anything that had ApoB in the title. I'm like, okay, I'm going to go watch that. And I figured out, what it is, if it's manageable, how to manage it, what would improve it, what causes problems with it and stuff like that. And I'll go get the answers myself. Most guys are pretty dumb and they'd be like, oh, peptides, is that going to make your dick small? Is it like steroids? Right? And it's like, this is why you're dumb and fat. Okay. But keep eating your, double cheeseburgers with fucking extra bacon and cheese. And that's why you suck. Right? I don't know how I can make this any simpler, man. Yes, I will drop the peptide source in the description after the video is done. Thank you for the reminder. I will not forget. I will give you my Canadian source, and I'll give my American friends the American site as well. I'll even give you the discount code, which I was only giving to my community. My inside guys, I will give it to you for free. I think it's like 10 or 15% off. So I'll give you guys that shit as well too. Did I miss anything else here? I don't know. There's a whole bunch of comments. If I miss something, guys, super chat it and I'll deal with it. All right. Let's move on. I got a bunch of open tabs here. your standard fun stuff that I know a lot of you guys sort of like come into to watch these shows, things going on this week. I'm just going to run the mid-roll ad and take a break. I'll be back in like 2 minutes, okay? This episode is sponsored by yours truly. Gentlemen, if you're new here, your starting point is to get on my email list and join 50,000 other readers. Just scroll down and opt in over here with your information. And that's where you can download the free chapters on the 21 red flags to avoid and the 16 green flags to seek in long-term relationships. Just navigate to entrepreneursincars.com/red-flags and get started there. Beyond that, there's book 1, The Unplugged Alpha, which has sold over 250,000 copies and summarizes the way the world and women truly work. And then there's book 2, recently released, The Top Shelf Man, which takes you far deeper down the rabbit hole and is about how the top 5% of men get everything they want out of life and women. Both books are very highly rated. I guarantee that you'll love them both. You can find them on Amazon. Now, brothers, if you like me and you take what you put in your body very seriously, you're going to want to use the Unplugged Alpha supplement line. It's the obsession with engineering higher absorption rates that sets my line apart from the others. You want to make sure that you absorb as much of the supplements as possible so you don't end up peeing out expensive urine and wasting your money. My supplement line is made in the United States from the highest quality ingredients, and unlike your typical cheap supplements in plastic bottles that originated from China, only quality supplements ship in dark glass bottles to keep your supplements fresher, longer, and don't seep endocrine-disrupting microplastics into your supplements that end up in your body. You can filter all products by your goals, including testosterone support, estrogen metabolism, fat burning, sleep support, and performance. Just visit theunpluggedalpha.com/shop and use the subscribe and save option to get 10% off your recurring supplement orders. Or check out my brand new testosterone bundle and save as much as 18% when you stack them all together. And lastly, if you've enjoyed my books and video content, you're going to absolutely love the School of Unplugging, which is my private community for men. Inside, you'll find over 50 hours of never before seen videos in a private classroom setting that'll teach you how to level up and apply the 7 spokes of a high-value man to your life so that you can get the results that you're looking for. You can just copy and paste all the simple formulas to success on wealth creation, improving your looks, status, captivation, game, frame, and so much more with other men on their own unplugging journey. There's also a well-organized discussion board, meetups in real life, weekly Zoom calls that are recorded, held by me and my team of experts, all for a monthly membership that costs less than a cup of coffee, and there is brand new content being added every single month. The calendar tab makes spotting exactly what it is that you're looking for very simple, and all you do is you add it to your own calendar. See the description below for a link to everything I just mentioned above, or visit richcooper.ca, and on the courses tab, you can navigate to the School of Unplugging. Guys, make sure you check out the rest of my personal website and everything else, or to request a private one-on-one consultation with me. Now let's get on with the show. All right, guys, we are back. Speaking of health and longevity and hormones, if you guys did not hear, the Secretary of War made an announcement in the past week that he is creating a high T Department of War, which is fantastic. Let's have a listen to what he has to say over here real quick, and I'll have some comments on it.
Your resilience. At the Department of War, we have the most elite warriors on the face of the earth. Every single day, you are pushed to your absolute physical and mental limits to master the profession of arms. We demand your all, and you give it. But while we invest heavily in our weapon systems, platforms, and gear, our most decisive tactical advantage will always be the individual warfighter. We have a sacred duty to maintain that advantage, which is why we must constantly look for new ways to optimize your performance, your resilience, and your long-term health. And to meet that commitment today, I'm authorizing a new screening program for testosterone deficiency for our service members, ensuring you have the right testosterone levels to operate at your absolute best. Because it's well-established science that as we age, testosterone levels often naturally drop. Under the supervision of our world-class medical professionals, warfighters age 30 and older are going to be tested annually as part of their periodic health assessment. It's a health assessment that happens every year. We're just adding this test. Those under 30 can voluntarily choose to get the test as well. If treatment is recommended, it's entirely your choice to receive testosterone replacement therapy. This initiative, it's not about artificial enhancement. It's about restoring and optimizing your natural capabilities, protecting your longevity, and ensuring you have the biological foundation required to sustain the fight. We owe our warriors the absolute best medical care in the world, and this program delivers on that obligation. Taking care of your long-term health means ensuring you remain strong, resilient, and capable, not just for your next deployment, but for the rest of your life, so you can thrive long after you take off the uniform. As we know, the modern battlefield is brutal and unrelenting. It requires and demands maximum psychological and mental readiness. And by addressing these health markers early, we're keeping you on the leading edge of lethality and giving you the same level of support that you give this nation, the absolute best. Godspeed, keep going, and God bless.
So this is interesting, right? The Department of War is now going to offer testosterone replacement therapy to its soldiers, which is actually not a bad idea. I saw somebody here in the comments said that in World War II, the Germans gave their soldiers testosterone. I just looked it up. No, they did not. They did give them methamphetamine, which was a pill called Pervitin. I'm probably pronouncing it wrong, but it's basically, methamphetamine pill. But yeah, the low T epidemic that exists today has been going on for a long time. Testosterone levels today are much, much lower than what they were back in my granddad's era and his great granddad's era, and so on and so forth. But that's just a consequence of EMF, everything that we're doing right now with bad diet, laziness, poor exercise, all that sort of stuff. I didn't need TRT until I was in my early mid 40s, I think it was. You probably don't need it if you're under 40. You definitely really probably don't need it if you're under 30. They're really lowering the bar, saying that, you can have this test once a year. If you're under 30, you can opt in. It's mandatory if you're over 30, but it's a once a year blood test. You heard him say that. That's fucking cheap. Okay. The Department of War needs to do better. It should be a quarterly test, at least semi-annually, twice a year. Like I said earlier, I'm doing my labs every 3.5 months, roughly. So they're basically saying we're going to test your labs once a year as part of your annual, and we're going to add testosterone to the test. And if your testosterone's too low, we're going to offer you TRT. You can take it. You don't have to take it. It's up to you. I think that's a great idea, but they should also look at things like diet, other mineral deficiencies, right? Like if you're deficient in zinc, if you're deficient in boron, your body's going to have a hard time making testosterone. If you're not feeding it sufficient levels of cholesterol, because every hormone in your body is made from cholesterol. If you're not giving the soldiers cholesterol, they're not going to make testosterone. I think that's one of the problems with having like MRE packs, right? Like these meal replacement packs when they're out in the field on deployment. They could be out in the middle of nowhere for prolonged periods of time, opening up one of these fucking powder dried things. You're not going to get a lot of like cholesterol out of products like that. You're definitely going to be deficient in nutrients and minerals and things like that. So there's different ways to handle it. I'm pleased to see that they're going to monitor testosterone levels for war fighters now, which is great. But there's a lot more that can be done with diet and exercise and other, supplementary parts as well too. Let's carry on. You've probably heard about this new movie, The Odyssey. Christopher Nolan put it out. This steaming pile of shit. It's funny because I saw over the weekend, a lot of people were like, oh, you got to see this. It's the best movie ever. And then below it, it had X mark it as a promoted post. So these people are all getting paid. These influencers are getting paid to say that this is a good movie. Now, if you don't remember, a couple of decades ago, there was a film put out called Troy. The Odyssey is kind of the same story. Achilles was that Greek warrior who was basically invincible. His Achilles heel was his only weakness, for example. Well, they cast this fucking thing, whatever this is supposed to be, this former woman who now thinks that they're a man, to play that role. And Helen of Troy, who in Greek literature is a blonde-haired, blue-eyed woman, was cast with whatever this is supposed to be. And this is the woke nonsense that they're cramming down your throat. They said it was the face that launched 1,000 ships to war, essentially, this. And the greatest soldier ever known, who they cast a transgender person to sort of fill that role. You get the idea. I also heard that in the opening of the film, there's a Greek poet who was played by some rapper with Rastafari dreads and shit like that. You see where I'm going, right? Like, it's like, let's just wokeify everything, pussify the world, blend it all in. Let's replace great warriors with trannies, and let's turn, you know, the beauty of Helen of Troy, blonde hair and blue eye, with an African. It's like, I got nothing. It's like, just send the fucking meteor, right? Because this is where they're going. They know exactly what they're doing, man. They know exactly what they're doing. All right, let's move on here with our next screen. And this is a lesson in accountability with women, like oil in water, as I've said so many times before.
Like, whatever I can do to get inside.
Yeah.
So do you know what I mean? Like, I always think about, like, when women are like, oh my God, my husband cheated and fuck this woman. And I'm like, I swear to God, when a man takes off his pants and he's hard and he's staring at a woman, and the woman's like, wait, don't you have a wife or don't you have a girlfriend? They're like, she just got run over by a bus. She's dead. We buried her last week.
She
like,
beats me at night.
Where she beats me. It's the whole thing. They will say whatever when they look down and they look up, they're like, whatever I can do to get inside.
Yep, absolutely.
So we can't blame the women.
Yeah.
Okay, so but do you know what I mean? Like,
So we can't blame the women. Are you starting to understand and unplug from all of these comforting lies? It's never women's fault. We can't blame this is the most popular women's podcast on the internet. Call Her Daddy, reminding the ladies out there that watch this fucking filth that it's not your fault when you make dumb choices. It's men's fault. It's always men's fault. It's always going to be men's fault. You have to understand that that is the baseline narrative that exists in a female-first primary social order, within the matriarchy, within a gynocentric social order. It's always going to be the men's fault. Women don't have any agency, apparently. They don't have any accountability. If you try to mix oil and water, this is like women and accountability, right? Now, a lot of guys get mad when I share this, because I've said things before like, you just can't hold women accountable. It's very, very difficult. But we have to hold them accountable, Rich. How? What's your fucking plan? Because nothing works. My strategy is take a look at the way the things operate, listen to the way that these women speak to each other and the way they understand the narrative, and then make adjustments, right? It's like the story of the scorpion and the frog. Let's recap. Very old story. Scorpion and the frog on the shore. Scorpion says, "Can I get a lift to the other side?" The frog goes, "You're a scorpion. You're going to sting me." Scorpion goes, "Yeah, but if I sting you, then we both drown." Frog goes, "That's a pretty fair argument. Let's go." Scorpion gets on the back of the frog, halfway across the river. Scorpion stings the frog. Frog goes, "What the fuck?" They both drown, right? The scorpion's going to do what it's going to do. Same thing with women. Female nature is female nature. Understand it, adjust accordingly, and off you go. This is what women consume. By the way, and I've said this before, if you're dealing with a chick who watches nonsense online, like Call Her Daddy, The Bachelorette, any of these stupid shows that, you know, portray women as these, you know, flowers of perfection. It's not our fault. It's always men's fault. You know, this is why we're hoes. It's all men's fault. It can't possibly be women's fault at all. It's always the guy's fault. Like, just understand this is the baseline narrative. This is what you're up against. Just understand it, adjust accordingly, navigate life. Enjoy. All right. In our next example here, and I've said this many a times, gentlemen, smart men, they don't get married. There's an entire chapter in my very first book, The Unplugged Alpha, titled Why Smart Men Don't Get Married. It's available on Amazon. This is an interesting video that was brought to my attention. I captioned it with, "The bike was the correct choice." Let's have a watch over here.
Okay, you ready?
I guess. Come on.
Okay. Boom. I got a new bike.
Why?
Because look at it. Look how nice it is. This is the nicest bike I've ever bought.
Today's our 1-year anniversary. I was kind of expecting a ring, you know, not really a new motorcycle for you.
Is it not nice?
You know what would be really nice?
What? It has lift control.
I don't
It
care.
has lift control where you hit the gas and it'll just wheelie and it'll just keep going.
Get your helmet.
It'll just keep going.
Get your keep
You can
going.
just hold it. You're mad?
I
For
am
real?
because I want a ring.
I thought you'd be happy for me.
So what are we doing for our anniversary then?
Well, you said we was going to stop spending money on stuff. I'm trying to get this bike for like over a year.
All right, well, I'm going home. You could ride around, I guess, on your cool bike. I don't really care, so.
All right.
All right.
Like I said, guys, smart men don't get married. Spending the money on the bike was smart. He chose himself. Remember, I've recommended this book a few times. There's a book that was written a number of years ago called Choose Yourself. Really good book. It's nothing complex or anything like that, but that's what he did. And that's what guys need to learn how to do more of, right? They put themselves first. They choose their agenda. They choose themselves over the distractions and the nonsense that are trying to derail them from their lives and their interests and their pursuits and things like that. And if you like motorcycles and you want to buy a better bike and you have the means to do so and you can afford it, go do it. You're only young once. Motorcycles are great. I just got another one. It's in my garage. You can go find it on my Instagram. I love that fucking thing. Do what you want, guys. Do what you want. Just because it's your 1-year anniversary and she's pushing you to get a ring, my God, what an awful woman. Did you see the state of her? It's like, dude, you can do way better. Move on from that stuff. Oh, sorry. I saw a super chat up here. Let me grab this real quick. Phil says, cultural appropriation is only wrong if Caucasians do it. The Nolan movie was insane. This is a very true story. Very correct. Thank you for pointing that out. Speaking of ho-ho-hos, you've probably heard of this girl, Lauren Southern. She's banged everybody, made false allegations. You probably know most of the stories, but here she is now on the Daily Wire. And I've said this before, guys, like, all women are feminists to a degree. Okay. It's not a question of if she's a feminist. It's to what degree is she a feminist? Remember, Lauren Southern made her entire career based on, I'm a traditional conservative sort of broadcaster who's also slept with most of the fucking Mano Swamp and anybody that's in and around the Mano Swamp. And now she's drinking with Michael Knowles, who's a married man.
She does Uber or whatever, she's getting an Uber. For me, I get a female driver. I say, whatever, it's going to take me longer to get to the airport, but it's fine. My wife gets a female driver. I'm not joking. She will cancel it.
No.
Yes.
I am stoked when I get a female Uber driver because I'm not going to get murdered. Okay.
She said, well, they have a new one now because women are afraid of being like kidnapped or murdered or something. But so they have this new one where women can request female drivers. And my wife, she's like, Mac, are they going to do one where I can only request a male driver, please? I want to get there on time.
Is this what your wife sounds like?
Exactly. It's an amazing. My wife comes.
My God, what an insufferable woman. She even sounds awful too. I'm not going to get murdered if I order a female driver on Uber. Like this is feminist lyrics right out of the book. This is the same chick that's all, I'm a traditional conservative. Look at me on the Daily Wire, guys. Buy my shit. She's probably got an OnlyFans. Who the fuck knows? But this is what happens. Like, do you understand? Right? I'm showing you one of the biggest traditional conservative creators out there, Lauren Southern, right? Acting very feminist like. I want to order a female driver because I don't want to get murdered when I drive. Like, come on, you fucking like this ridiculous nonsense. It's absolutely absurd. I can't believe people buy this shit. Now, if you're following me on my email list and my Substack, you'll probably have seen the article that went out recently on paternity fraud. I just took a little snippet out of it and I shared this on social media the other day, this little data point. I wrote about this in my first book as well too, but here's the actual details under it. In France, and this is also true, by the way, for other parts of Europe like Germany, if you order a paternity test as a father, you can face up to 1 year in prison and a fine of 15,000 euro under Article 226-28 of the Penal Code. I'm going to say that again. If you live in France and you're a father and you're unsure that a child is yours, if you perform a paternity test, they'll lock you up and or fine you 15,000 euro for trying to ensure that a child is yours. Now, in that Substack and the one that preceded that went out, you can find my Substack. Just look for the Unplugged Alpha. You'll find it. You can subscribe. It's got great content and information in it. It also goes out to my email list. If you understand the notion of paternity fraud, it is one of the most diabolical things that can happen. It's been covered in evolutionary psych literature. It's been covered in studies. The problem with paternity fraud is it relies on fraudulent behavior. Women don't want the guy to know that the kid's not his, that she's expecting him to raise and pay for. Okay? Sometimes she does it intentionally. Sometimes it's, oopsie, I made an accident. I kind of slept with 2 or 3 guys around the same time, and they all nutted at me at the same time, right? And they either way don't care, because women have 100% assurance of paternity. They birth the child, they carry it for 9 months. They're pretty sure that kid is theirs. But fuck you if you're a man in France. You want to go test that you have actual DNA in that child that you're now being asked to raise and be responsible for and put through university and pay medical bills for and buy them their first car and all that kind of shit. If you do a paternity test to ensure that kid's yours, fuck you. That's the way that the governments and the gynocentric social order works. You'd have to do it on the down low, on the side, something like that. And even then, what happens? Oh, I'm breaking up with you because that kid's not mine. Well, how do you know? I just know, right? Well, if it comes to light that you did a paternity test, she could take you to court and lock your ass up for a year, right? Look, guys, we don't know what the actual numbers of paternity fraud are, but here's what we do know based on all of the data and research points that I've come across. 1 in about every 4 or 5 of your maternal grandmothers, great-grandmothers, you know what I'm talking about here. 1 in every 4 or 5 cucked your paternal great-grandfather, grandfather. You get the idea. Because that's what the data is. It's somewhere between 20 to 25%. So 1 in 4 or 5 of your maternal women on your family side cucked the man. It's fucking diabolical. It really truly is. Like, what is the point in having a child and raising it and naming it, giving it your surname? You're hoping it's got your DNA. You're going to roll the dice in France. Fuck, I got screwed. It's Tyrone's, right? This is, again, something that you have to be aware of. Here's my take on things. You should, if you have even a tiny bit of doubt, always get a paternity test to make sure you don't cuckold yourself and find yourself in a situation where you're raising another man's child unknowingly. Does it happen? Yes. Is it common? Not really, but it's common enough that it's a problem for men. Just be aware of that. And if you want to do some testing in some parts of Europe, not allowed to. It's against the law. Let me share this next slide with you here. Voice is going. So Henderson's at some work again. He's a researcher. He says men whose wives and partners that are the primary earners are roughly 1.5 times as likely to report serious psychological distress. The costs are not borne by husbands alone. The breadwinning wives tend to report lower satisfaction with their relationships. And interestingly, here's a photograph of Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift, who is probably worth a lot more than Travis Kelce. That's the photograph that he chose to use for that. And I believe it links to an article over here. Okay, we have to accept all. Is this written by him? And you, of course, need an account to log in to read it, but he summarized the article there. Anyway, I commented on that and I said, well, at least these guys don't need to pay alimony in a divorce. So as we all know, women are hypergamous. They date across and up. They want to be with a better man. But in rare situations where a man ends up with a woman who's financially better off than he is, it doesn't happen that often. It's rare, but it does happen from time to time. Women are actually forced to pay men alimony and child support in most of those cases. You know, if you're going to get married, and you're kind of screwed if you do or you don't, right? Because it's like women want men to lead. They want to be with a giant. They want their hypergamous nature to be satisfied. And if they don't get that, then they kind of resent you, right? Like it's a problem for them. But at least you're not going to pay alimony and child support if you get divorced. She's probably going to pay you, right? So you understand some of the benefit there as well, too. That's just how family law works. Family law punishes the one that makes more money, which in more cases than not is always the guy. Because again, women date up. That's why you get Becky the hairdresser who's making $40,000 a year getting married to Kyle, the vice president of the accounting department at that technology company, making several $100,000 a year plus bonuses. But sometimes the tables turn. And sometimes, you know, a good looking guy that's maybe making $45,000 a year with some, you know, regular job marries a very successful woman that's making several $100,000 a year. And at least in cases like that, she might be pissed off. She may not like where she's at, but at least for the guys, if the knot unties, it's not going to cost you anything. And she's probably going to end up paying you. Interestingly, by the way, guys, and I found this data point, I talked about it in my first book, The Unplugged Alpha. In situations where women are compelled by family court to pay the husband alimony and or child support, women rarely meet those obligations, either because one, they don't want to pay, or two, because the guy's embarrassed and he doesn't want to take her money because he's a man. He's like, yeah, she makes more money, but I'm the man. I don't really want to take her alimony. So they kind of like, you know, they just cast it aside a lot of the times. My advice is don't do that, right? It's good for the goose is good for the gander. Lots of guys are getting raped over the coals with family law because they make a lot more money, and women are hypergamous and they date and marry up. Well, in those rare scenarios, maybe where, you know, Travis marries Taylor Swift and they have a couple of kids and it doesn't work out, Travis can get paid pretty handsomely, right? So you can use it to your benefit. I'm sure there'll be prenups and all kinds of, you know, instruments put together there for that. You get the idea. I got another bit over here from Henderson on the sexual marketplace. He's been on fire this week, putting out some good stuff. Talking about masculinity is a huge predictor of romantic appeal. Shocking, right? Women like masculine men. So in one study of more than, here, I'm just going to take it off the screen. You don't need me to fucking read it to you. Let me read the words. A little bouncing ball across words. In one study of more than 7,000 men found that muscle mass was associated with more sexual partners in the last year and more sexual partners overall. Shocking, right? Chicks dig guys with muscle. A study on males aged 18 to 59 found that muscularity is significantly positively associated with the number of total sexual partners and total partners within the last year. Hand grip strength is correlated with self-assessed happiness. So they measure hand grip with those like gripper tools. You've seen those before. Sorry, hand grip strength is correlated with self-assessed happiness, health, social confidence, overall physical attractiveness, and overall number of sexual partners. So if you have grip strength, you're getting laid more, boys. To me, the most interesting finding in this line of work is that how a tough guy looks to men appears much stronger. How a guy looks to men appears to be a much stronger predictor of mating success than how attractive he is to women. So in this study, if other dudes find you masculine, hey, You look good. What's your training regimen like? How did you lose all that weight? Tell me about peptides and hormones. Are steroids going to make your dick shrink? Guys like that, right? If more guys find you more masculine, then it's a higher predictor of you getting laid more, believe it or not, when guys find you more masculine. Anyway, researchers recorded short videos from 157 different men next to another group of men watching these. Another group of men watched these videos. Researchers asked them a question about each man in the videos. How likely is it that this man would win a physical fight with another man? They use a scale ranging from extremely likely to extremely unlikely. A group of women also viewed the videos. They responded to the question about each of the men. How sexually attractive is this man? And they use a scale ranging from extremely unattractive to extremely attractive. 18 months later, the men in the videos completed a questionnaire asking about their sexual history over the last 18 months. How tough a guy looked to men predicted his reported mating success better than how attractive he looked to women. Isn't that interesting? The researchers concluded men with higher physical dominance, but not sexual attractiveness, reported higher quantitative mating success. Well, there you go, guys. You don't have to look hot to women, but you got to look tough to other guys. It's really what it boils down to. Let's do this one over here now. Look, I don't know if this is a girl boss meetup, the real estate agent meetup, if it's some Tupperware party of Avon I don't fucking know what this is. But this energy, I mean, it's captioned here, you know, this energy was meant for babies, but this is what chicks will do to, like, in the absence of masculine men, women become successful and masculine themselves. And this is how they behave. It's almost hilarious. Watch this. Sorry, I'm going to kill the music because it sometimes copyright strikes me. But, you know, you get the idea. You get all these boss babes, these Beckys. I mean, this one's twerking for some reason. I don't know why. What the fuck is this chick wearing? They're all pretending like they can spar or throw hands. It's fucking ridiculous. I mean, the vast majority of these chicks need to go on a diet and go to the gym. They're completely out of shape. But this is the narrative that they want women to subscribe to, that they want them to believe, become a boss girl, become successful, become, you know, basically, you know, become a man. And this is what women are now pursuing. They're not pursuing relationships. They're not pursuing family. They're not pursuing children. Instead, they're trying to behave like men because they know that this is what they're attracted to. And this is the interesting part, right? And I saw this a lot when I was hosting the Ladies Night podcast, is a lot of the times you ask women, like, you know, well, what do you bring to the table, or what's attractive about you? And they're like, well, I dress well and I have nice power suits for my job and I've climbed the corporate ladder and my Tesla's always charged and I'm responsible, my mortgage is paid. And it's like, those are all things that make men attractive to women, right? They don't make women attractive to men. But in the void, like in the absence of masculinity, women start to behave like men. And that's how you get these boss girls, these Beckys. I talk about the Becky avatar and the Top Shelf Man. Get the book. It's on Amazon. When you've read it, please leave a review. It's very helpful. You'll understand exactly what I'm talking about with the Becky avatar. But these Beckys are just everywhere now. I remember earlier this week, I was looking at a feed, and this guy who's he's recently divorced in the last couple of years. I like him. He's like one of these traditional, you know, conservative guys, and his wife left him. And he said something along the lines in his post of, you know, now that I'm dating, you know, like I'd like to find a woman that's, you know, she's kind, she's sweet, she cares about the kids, she's got culinary skills, she can bake, she can make a house a home. And he goes, instead, I'm finding women that like to shoot guns, want to roll around in jujitsu and climb the corporate ladder. And it's like, they're not turned on by these chicks. And these chicks don't understand this isn't what men want. They want to come home to a soft, kind, beautiful, you know, like woman that like compliments their life. I want to come home to a warm meal, man. I want to go over to a chick's place and she's like, have you eaten yet? I just made some food. Sit down. Let me make you a plate. Right? Like, this is what guys want. I don't want to fucking roll around and do jujitsu with a chick. Like you don't have a fucking chance. You want to box? You want to throw hands? You're nuts. But this is what chicks are buying into. This is the narrative that they're believing. Nobody wants that nonsense. Oh, in this episode of Women Being Retarded, this is the caption of this one. So Fort Worth Playboy says over here, if you could see all the losers she's banging, you'd probably lose interest. But just listen, like this chick is very honest, and she's absolutely telling you the truth. She's telling you exactly what I've been saying. Women don't usually speak this way. Very unusual for them to be this transparent. So listen in.
You guys know I'm very open about this. I like 6'4", brown skin, tatted up dreadheads. That's my type. But hear me out. Hear me out. Outside of sex with them, they fucking suck. They suck. They have no personality. They cannot carry a conversation. We get it. If you wouldn't have torn your ACL 7 years ago, you would have gone to the league. No, I don't want to watch your high school highlight tape. No, I don't want to smoke weed. And no, I don't want to play 2K. Literally, like, there's nothing there. There's nothing there.
Listen to the way that she speaks and the way that she communicates. You can tell exactly the kind of guys that she's been porking, right?
Outside of like semi-mediocre, okay sex, you actually wouldn't like them at all. So then I realized that's not actually my type. That's what I'm physically attracted to when I go out into the world. That's what I'm physically attracted to. But now when you remove sex, I'm not attracted to them in any way, shape, or form. Like, I need someone that can hold a conversation, that's intellectual, that's smart, that stimulates my brain, that pushes me to do better. Like, that's doing what I'm doing. I don't go to the club. I don't drink. I don't do I don't do rugs. Like, I'm not going to be around. I'm not going to date someone who does those things because I don't do those things. But yet they're all outside and they're bedazzled fucking head to toe outfits. Like, that's not my type, but it's what I'm physically attracted to and who I would hook up with. Take the hookup out of it. Duds, dead. And I'm like, I'm finally understanding this at a grown age, because no one explained this to me younger. Remove sex from the equation and really ask yourself, would I still like that man? And I think the answer is no.
Well, she just said what I've been saying for years, guys. Women are going to go and run through all the fucking alpha chads, right? You can tell by the way she's talking, the kind of guys that she's been banging. Now she's come to the epiphany. She's probably about 29, maybe 30 years old. And she's like, I've run through all these guys. They wouldn't make a good father. I can't hold a conversation with them because they're retarded. And she's even come to the realization that the sex isn't even that great. But that's what she's attracted to. She's saying, I like the fucking bad boys, right? I want to pork the bad boys, but I realize that I need to get right now. And I need to find a guy that can hold a conversation. I need a guy that's got money, a job, a guy that's competent, resourceful, reliable, right? And this is how, and I talk about this in my book in the Becky chapter, guys, okay? And this is how most guys get punished in a marriage, is they find these broads, they'll go on a dating app and they'll start swiping and they're like, oh, she's hot. And you'd look at a picture of somebody like that, all dressed up with makeup and a dress, and see her walking around, and you think to yourself, she's attractive. That's a nice blonde. She's a hot blonde chick. I bet I could get that. And you might match with her. And you go out with her and she makes you wait like 8 dates for some intimacy, which she gave to the other fucking guy like 8 minutes after she met him. Whoa, just going nuts on his dick, right? But she'll make you wait 8 dates. And then eventually she'll say to you, I want a ring. It's about time for a ring. We got to get serious, and I'm getting up there. I'm not getting any younger. I want to have some kids. I want a family. And this guy thinks to himself, yeah, well, she's pretty hot. I bagged myself a pretty good one. I'm going to buy her a ring. Going to get married. And he does all that. He puts some babies in her. By the time, 5, 6, 7 years goes by, she doesn't like him anymore. She realizes that she's really not attracted to him at all. But she's got the kids now. And he's a good earner. He makes good money. She doesn't. She's been looking after the kids, or maybe she's been doing her job part-time or some shit like that. And she says, I think I'm out. I love you, but I'm not in love with you. I'm going to take the kids to my mom's house this weekend. I want to get a divorce, because she wants to hit the road running. She thinks that she can upgrade. She can do better. And then she punishes this guy. She runs him through the family court system. takes half his shit, alienates him from his kids. Kids may not even be his. It's always that paternity, matter that some guys don't really look into that we talked about earlier. And he ends up, seeing his wealth robbed from him while she spends it on the children and handbags and shoes and stuff like that. And you do not want to marry these Beckys. The Becky avatar, again, I talk about it in the Top Shelf Man. Get the book so you understand it and what to look out for and what to look for. And stay away from it. That's another typical Becky. With every show, with every week, guys, I never run out of examples of what Beckys look like. They're out there and they're everywhere, and they're going to continue to pile. It's going to be the most common female that you're going to come across over the age of about 25. If you can get them young before they're corrupted, good. Before they make dumb choices, good. But the vast majority of women over that age, they're going to be Beckys. Now, I had to screen record this one because I couldn't download it, but this idiot over here, she's talking about Kevin Costner's divorce. Actually, I'm going to go to my notes in a second. Let's just play this real quick.
What happened and how she got screwed after she signed.
So she's going to talk about how Kevin Costner's wife got screwed in her divorce. Pay attention here.
His wife, Christine, signed a prenup in 2004. Fast forward almost 20 years. 3 kids. Yellowstone happens. His net worth explodes to an estimated $400 million. They're living a lifestyle most women can't even picture. And when the marriage ended, the document she signed at 30 controlled everything. Let me tell you what she got from the prenup and how these men always try to screw you. Hi, I'm P.ssyfying. I expose the lies that keep women enslaved and broke, and I teach you financial literacy so you can become rich and never have to rely on a dusty dude.
Remember what she just said there. I don't want you to rely on a dusty dude. And this is how guys screw women over. Let me just play that back for you again. Listen to her.
Always try to.
This is a business now. This is an actual business. This is a woman promoting her business using Kevin Costner's divorce, saying that Kevin Costner's wife got screwed in divorce. And she's trying to use this as an example. I'm going to break it down with the evidence in a second, though, but just listen again.
And when the marriage ended, the document she signed at 30 controlled everything. Let me tell you what she got from the prenup and how these men always try to screw you. Hi, I'm P.ssyfying. I expose the lies that keep women enslaved and broke, and I teach you financial literacy so you can become rich and never have to rely on a dusty dude. Let's get into it. Here's what the prenup said, okay? If they ever split, Christine would get $1.4 million. That's it. His homes purchased before the marriage would stay his. Their earnings would stay separate. He covered the first year of her mortgage payments and property taxes when she moved out. If they ever divorced, that was the deal. Now let's talk about what happened and how she got screwed after she signed. Kevin Costner was a movie star with a long career, right? But Kevin Costner in 2023 was the face of the biggest show on television. Yellowstone reportedly paid him well over $1 million per episode. His net worth ballooned to an estimated $400 million. They lived in a beachfront estate worth tens of millions of dollars. Christine ran the household, raised the kids, showed up as the supportive wife of a Hollywood A-lister at every event and premiere for almost 2 damn decades. And when it ended, the number the document promised her was still only $1.4 million. She tried to fight it. She hired lawyers. She spent an estimated $300,000 of her own legal fees challenging the prenup. Kevin spent more than $800,000 fighting her back, saying she doesn't deserve any more money. I mean, the audacity of these men. And here's the part that should terrify every woman listening, okay? By challenging the prenup, she risked losing $1.4 million she was already promised. She could have walked away with less. Eventually, they settled. The exact final number is private, but the prenup framework controlled the entire conversation. And I've said this before, this is what a static prenup does. It freezes you to who he was when you said yes, even if you spent 20 years supporting his dusty ass to become something bigger. Christine's prenup didn't have escalator clauses tied to his income. It didn't have percentage stakes in projects that haven't been built yet. It didn't have a sunset clause that expired the whole agreement after a set number of years. It just sat there, frozen in 2004, controlling a divorce in 2024 to a very different man. So don't be like Christine. If you're going to sign a prenup, make sure that it's not a static prenup and it includes everything I just talked about.
All right. Well, let me just break it down for you because I did the math. Your homeboy did his homework. So Kevin Costner is paying $63,209 a month in child support. The terms of the division of assets remain private, but reports indicate she got more than the prenup baseline, even though this bitch is fucking saying she didn't. Costner also paid her legal fees, her high-end residential rental at $40,000 a month. I'm going to say that again. Costner is paying for her rental, $40,000. I don't even know what a $40,000 a month house looks like, but Kevin Costner's ex-wife is living in one because she married and fucked Kevin Costner. He's also paying for health insurance, private school tuition, all the extracurricular activities, and every other child-related expense. So Kevin Costner's ex-wife, even though this lady is implying that Kevin Costner is a dusty-ass loser that ripped off his wife, is paying, if you just take the $63,209 and the $40,000 a month, it's paying over $103,000 plus private school tuition, plus health insurance, plus extracurriculars, and all other child-related expenses. He's probably paying about $150,000 a month. And this chick is going online and telling women that men's dusty asses, because they're asking you to sign a prenup, are ripping you off. I'm sorry. Who's getting ripped off here if he's paying about $150,000 a month to this chick, and all she did was marry him and have sex with him and have a few kids with him? That's a great fucking payday. If I was a chick and I could get $150,000 a month just for banging the right guy for a few years and being married to the biggest fucking actor in like one of the biggest actors in the world, and she's complaining about that shit, man, let me just play my little violin, the tiniest little violin for her little crybaby song over there. But you got to, you can't do anything with women for their empowerment unless, and this is what the point is here, unless you prove that they're the victim first. How are you a victim of a divorce, of a dusty ass man that took advantage of you, if you're making well over $100,000 a month for doing fucking nothing? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. You're not even working. You don't have to go to a job. You don't got to put gas in your car. You don't have to pay for insurance. You don't have to work. You don't have a boss to deal with. All you did was you fucked Kevin Costner and had his kids and was married to him for a few years. But you're a dusty ass man. See, you have to be a victim in the gynocentric social order, right? For women to sell their programs and their courses and how not to marry this dusty guy and the caller daddy fucking shows and all that sort of stuff, they have to convince women that they're the victims, that the perpetrators are always the men. Man, if I was a chick, I would sign up for that deal all day long. All day long. Women live life on easy mode, and we're constantly telling women that they're not. We're constantly telling women that they're the victims of men, dusty ass men. You're starting to see how the patterns unfold here, right, guys? Like, understand it. I don't know who Max Holloway is. Do you guys? You're probably MMA fans. You know me. I don't really follow sports unless it's a name that I know, a household name sort of thing, like, Conor McGregor, whatever. But this interesting clip here was brought to my attention. It says Max Holloway's wife, Alicia, revealed that she had left him on red for 5 years. 5 years. But after he stayed consistent and after she realized he was a big deal in the UFC, then she became interested. Listen to how she tells this story, man. Like I've said before, marriage for most men is a humiliation ritual. Here's another example of it.
But yeah, so I reached out to him. I was like, hey, I need to find a gym. He works out Tactical. Darren, he's awesome.
So this is his wife, like a 4 out of 10. She's average at best, but she left this guy on red, a UFC fighter. She didn't care until she figured out who he was. Check this out.
He's a hard ass though.
Yeah.
But he sent me that direction. He's like, hey, like we should hang out. And I already knew where this was going. I was like, damn, I think I fell for the trap.
Whoa.
Like, I think he was doing this for 5 years now. Like, he would come to my birthdays.
Persistent.
Oh, he would tell you, what's the saying, love?
Consistency.
No, he's like, I'm just. And he's like, he says, I'm planting the seed. So,
you can ask one of my friends, my economic Brandon Martin, our friends that know each other. But I'd always be like, oh, right to her as up one of her stories. You know what I mean? And she leave me on red. I was like, well, she left me on red. She let me see song.
He was very persistent.
Read them, but it gave me no hope. Like, man.
Again, I respected Max though. I know he was a great athlete from what I've heard. Again, I never watched UFC, nothing.
Yeah.
I didn't know he was a big deal until I got home. And then he's like, everybody's like, yeah, Max, how's it going? Can I get a picture? Blah, blah. I'm like, oh, shoot. I didn't say anything to him. I was like, oh, this guy must be, a big deal. So I had one of my friends be like, they were like, oh, you're hanging out with Max. Do you not know? He's like a big deal here. And I was like, oh, really? He's like, he's about to fight too. And I was like, oh, cool. I was like, all right, I'll do my research. I was like, oh, dang, I didn't know.
Yeah.
But I didn't see that. Like, I just thought he was a really nice guy. And again, very persistent. Yeah, which was like, I give him that. Like, he wasn't like creepy or anything, but I was like, man, this guy he's all on the gas right now. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, this guy here, Andrew, nailed it. He said, it's crazy how badass men can be in certain areas of life, like business, career, fitness, MMA, and a sum total of 0 of that translates to competency with women. She didn't know who he was. She had no idea who this guy was. Didn't know he was a UFC fighter, that he competes, that he's competent. Didn't like the guy, left him on red for 5 years. All of a sudden, one of her girlfriends goes, hey, that's that UFC fighter. And she realizes that he's important when people are asking to take photographs with him. And now all of a sudden they're married. Isn't that interesting? Like I've said before, guys, you do not want to be a woman's second choice. You do not want to be her third choice, her fifth, fourth. It doesn't matter. If you're not her first choice, you do not invite this woman into your life at all. You will be punished. This man, mark my words, at some point in the not too distant future, will be punished by this woman via divorce. I don't know if they have kids, but you never, ever invite a woman to your life unless you're her first choice. Choose women that choose you. You understand? You only deal with women that have chosen you. And if she hasn't chosen you, you just ignore. There's lots of other women there that are your type. There's lots of other women out there that'll see you and be like, that guy's hot. I like him, right? All you got to do is level up on the 7 spokes. If you don't know where you stand on the 7 spokes of a high value man, as I talk about in my book, The Top Shelf Man, it's been running on the ticker the entire show. You can take my self-assessment. It's totally free. You go to test.theunpluggedalpha.com. It'll take you 8, 9, 10 minutes. There's 7 pages with 10 questions per page. Do your self-assessment. At the end, it'll spit out a spider graph and it'll tell you where you stand on the 7 spokes of a high value man. If you're low on those spokes, you have work to do. It'll tell you where the work needs to be done. Again, I emphasize this, guys. Do not get involved with women that haven't chosen you first. You're going to waste your time. And interestingly, my next tab here kind of deals with that similar kind of narrative, right? So you've probably heard of this actor named Brad Pitt. Well, at the 1989 MTV Music Awards, Christina Applegate, who was probably made famous mostly for her appearance on Married with Children, Al Bundy's daughter. She basically played the role of a big-titted bimbo. And, at that time, the show was pretty popular, and she was dating Brad Pitt. Well, apparently Christina Applegate ditched Brad Pitt because he wasn't that well known in the 80s to hang out with Skid Row lead singer Sebastian Bach, pictured on the right. Today, Brad Pitt's pretty popular, successful guy, still handsome. Today, Sebastian Bach looks like a can of smashed assholes because that's what rock and roll and partying and booze and drugs does to guys, and cigarettes and all that sort of stuff. It sort of tears through them and ages them prematurely. But, my caption here is very simple. It says, women are very simple. They pursue the best they think that they can get. And at that time, Christina Applegate, even though she was with Brad Pitt, thought because Sebastian Bach gave her some attention, she could do better by monkey branching over to the singer. That's what women do. Do you understand? I have another good one here. Should I read? No, here. I'm gonna read the post first for you. It says here in the caption, advice for dealing with a MAGA preceptor. Hang on, I got to open this up over here. Okay, so this is a throwaway account, she says, because of coworkers. So recently started a new job, and I have this guy who's very nice, actually very helpful, but his social media has overt MAGA imagery on it. He has not said anything to me that's overtly political yet, and I don't think he ever will. But as someone who's pro-social justice, pro-disability rights beliefs, deeply inform my nursing practice, it is very unsettling to me and hard to know how to navigate. It is especially difficult given I am starting a new higher acuity specialty, and in many ways, this guy is actually quite helpful and empathetic in many ways in my job. I've been told that he is one of the better guys out there, and I could have been paired with him. I do not plan to ever discuss politics with him if I can help it, and if he brings it up. I know HR approved ways to shut that shit down quick. But I also wanted advice, support from anyone who has been through a similar situation before. There was a great response to this. I'm just going to read it out to you. This guy, Benedict, says, in quotes, "So I wanted to add a guy to my workplace dick carousel, but when I stalked him on social media, he turned out to be MAGA, and I will now post performatively on Reddit to absolve myself of the shame of being attracted to a literal Nazi." You can't even fucking make this shit up, man. It's amazing that like women disqualify men based on their political preferences, but it's a very strong disqualifier for a lot of guys today, right? Like a lot of dating apps, you know, women will be on there and be like, if you like Trump, or if you're a MAGA, or if you're conservative or something like that, I'm not interested. And it's like, well, who the fuck are you gonna be with, lady? Because your only other options are the plugged in soy boys, the rainbow people, the alphabet soup people, and you don't like those guys. You pretend that you like their political ideology, but you're really not that attracted to them. You get the idea. Anyway. I think we're going to wrap it up on that note. I haven't forgotten to drop the peptide links for you. I'll do that as soon as I end the show. I'll be back next Monday. Guys and you gals out there, I hope you got value out of today's show. Again, all of this is based on the origin of The Unplugged Alpha, my first book, which was followed up with The Top Shelf Man, which in my opinion is a masterpiece. It's a much better book. It really is very, very good. If you haven't read these two books, get them. They're on Amazon. I promise you'll get a ton of value for it. Leave a review after you've read it and let other guys know what value you got from it. If you've read the books and you haven't left a review, a great compliment you could do for me is go to Amazon now and just leave a written review and let other guys know what you got from it. Beyond that, if there's anything that you need help with, I can be assistance to you. You'll see in the ticker below how to find my website, my school community. You can also scan on the top left of your screen, the QR code to take a look at my school communities. There's 3. They're all very good. The entry level one is just the School of Unplugging, very affordably priced. And the benefits in there they're just top shelf. You can go check it out when you visit the landing page. There's also the School of Entrepreneurship if you want to learn everything that I have learned over the last 30 years as an entrepreneur, so that you don't make costly mistakes. You also get me to coach you along the way with your business. Very helpful stuff. And there's, of course, the Top Shelf, which is the 1% community, where guys get together and do really cool shit throughout the year. One of the events we have coming up in September is we're going to Italy, and we're going to be driving supercars in the mountains. So you'll see some of the highlights of that when I get back, but that's some of the cool shit that I'm up to. Anyway, I hope that you guys had a great time tonight. Again, check out everything in the links below. Opt into my email list, sign up for my Substack, and we'll see you guys next week. You guys have an awesome night, and peace.
All right, guys, if you enjoyed that podcast, make sure you visit my website at richcooper.ca to learn more about my courses, my book, The Unplugged Alpha, community, or booking me for private coaching. Also, if you are a Canadian with $15,000 or more of credit card debt and what you are doing right now isn't paying off the balances, then visit totaldebtfreedom.ca and hit get a free quote to see if you qualify to settle your credit card debt for less than you owe today over the next 48 months. Make sure you check out the top pinned comment on YouTube for all the links mentioned during the show. Peace.